afternoon, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. My name's Adam Duval, aka the Mental Health Warrior, and we are going to be joined by, well, I hope she joins us, Karen Unruh, the recovery warrior. Come on, get your words out, Adam. And then we're going to be joined by, I hope she doesn't kill me when I say her name, Natalie Bleau. Am I right? Oh, I'm right. She's giving me the nod. So all I've got to say is I will see you in 30 seconds. Hello.
Hi, Adam.
Hiya. Right. Yeah, Karen's just messaged me as well. We'll just say what she says. No, we can't. Can't, I'm afraid. Yeah, no, she's just asking, can we do it as a Facebook Live? You can't have 3 people on the Facebook Live. You can't.
No, only Instagram, innit? Yeah, only on Instagram.
I've never tried that. I can't. I need to start going live on Instagram.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I've never tried it. Never. Who knows? But anyway, welcome to Warrior TV.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Now, I don't have my bio. I don't have your bio in front of me. So I'm going to throw some quick fire questions at you, just to lighten the mood. And I do hope Karen rejoins us. If not, please comment in the comments. So I'm going to say, are you Halloween or Christmas?
Neither. but Christmas is nice. But but Halloween is just, I don't really celebrate anything anymore. Seriously. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Tea or coffee?
Tea. Definitely tea.
Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Do you know, I may as well throw it at you. Does pineapple belong on pizzas?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The Hawaiian pizza, yeah. Sweet and sour.
Do you want to take over this podcast? No? Oh, I don't know. No, you're right up my partner's street there, because she's a cat person and she loves pineapple.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have the bit of the sweet and the sour together. Or I should say it's sweet and savoury, I should say, yeah.
No, I just think it's rubber. Okay, last one. Are you a night owl or early bird?
I'm a night owl. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've already asked that Kerry about Halloween or Christmas. She doesn't either, but she's more towards Christmas. She's literally just over there as well. But she can hear me. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, hello to everyone in the comments. Please share this in awareness. Hello, Caroline Bennis. Hello, Kerry Duval. If there's anyone else tuning in, please put in the comments. And yeah, hope you're well. Right, so I'm going to kickstart with, who is Natalie Bleau?
Who is Natalie Bleau? That's a good question. Well, I'm just an ordinary human being.
Hi, guys.
Oh, look, she's here. Hi, darling.
Had to go on 4G. Sorry to interrupt. Please go on.
Well, I'm an ordinary human being.
No, really?
With my own struggles, in life, but I mean to remain positive as much as I can through that struggle. So be mindful of how I think and how I feel. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Karen, nice earrings, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I thought I'd be a little George Michael. You gotta have faith. You gotta have faith. Yeah, and subtle. I like subtlety. I'm sorry I had technical issues and I've had to go 4G in order to get on here. I don't know what you guys have covered, or shall I just dive in?
No, we've just done the quick fire questions where she loves cats and she loves pineapple, and she just told who we are, who she is. See, I can't even get my words out today.
She established she feeds pineapple to her cats.
I don't have any cats. I don't have any pets at all. I have problems looking after myself, let alone having pets as well.
I hear you. Now, Natalie, it's fantastic to have you on here. And it's also fantastic to have Adam as my backup because he's technically more advanced than me. And yes. Trying to sort out the internet. Anyway, you and I have spoken before, Natalie. And and as that technological error showed, we had a whole show that didn't get recorded because I pressed something wrong. Now, in our last show, not our last show, our own private conversation, we talked about the fact that you are probably one of the busiest people on earth that I.
She's becoming Frankenstein.
Are you still there?
Right, Karen, I understand it's almost Halloween. I see my house behind me, but I think you're becoming Frankenstein today with the robotic.
It is ridiculous. That was just a phone call out of the blue anyway. So yes, back to being serious and professional, which I don't do very well. So yes, Natalie, you are one of the busiest people on a volunteer basis that I've ever met. And you work in palliative care with a hospice, yes?
Yeah, and the North East London Cancer Alliance as well.
Yes, and this was spurred on by the fact that your own father had cancer, yeah?
Yes, he had colorectal cancer, and I just felt, I don't know why I got into it, but I just felt that I wanted to be there for others on the psychological side, be able to talk to them for their fears and of death and stuff like that. Yeah,
I think certain people with a very empathetic spirit, when they have encountered a tough time, you find this a lot with people who've lost a child, for instance. They will set up foundations in order to support others. And I think it's so amazing that people who have suffered in one way or another, yourself through your father's death, then go on to feel the need and the passion to help others through their own struggles. And I think that needs to happen more and more, but it often is a turning point for people, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And you've also developed a website and a site where you call it Scripture of Balance.
Yes, I have. I started it as a blog on Medium, but then my nephew, Christopher, had asked me to, he said, you really should set up a website. He said, because he's, the 21 years old, and, you don't think that 21 years old catch on what you're writing. He liked it. So he did the design for my website. And I have an aunt over in Grenada who helps me, encourage me to keep going. And I send my spelling errors to her because she's totally well into the English language. She majors in that and she wants to see everything perfect.
Yes.
But it is about mental and spiritual health. It's in no way religious. I had a comment from someone the other day saying, thank you for letting me join, but I'm not religious. But it's not religious. Nothing to do with religion. It's to do with the struggles we go through in life. And it gives us ideas of techniques that you can use, that I have used. It's more or less about my journey It's, you know, but not all techniques may suit other people, but then you may have some techniques that I can try that help you through anxiety, if it's anxiety, stress, you know, and or intrusive thoughts, whichever way you know. So it's interesting feedback that people thought it was all about religion. I said no, absolutely not.
Well, you've chosen a very emotive word, which is scripture.
Scripture is like the Bible.
Why did you actually choose that word? That's an interesting choice.
I know. I didn't want to get it mixed up or anything, but scripture, scripture is obviously the Bible, which is the Bible is a way it's its own entity, it's its own book, which, you know, people, the followers seem to get their faith and their answers to some of their problems in there. But whereas under scriptural balance, you know, so
it's still a script to live by, isn't it?
That's right. Absolutely. Yes. It's not that I've got anything against God, Bible, or anything like that, because I do believe in God. But I'm not someone who's going to preach to you at all, because I'm not in no position to do that.
No. And I also think, don't you, that when we tell our stories, whether it be on a blog post, YouTube, in a book, however we do it, when we tell our stories, we invite people onto our journey, and they then find courage and inspiration for their own journey.
That's right. Yeah. And, you know, the funny thing is, I always thought to myself that people like us that have been through things, you know, been through the horrors of whatever we've been through, we'd be more qualified to like talk to someone else who has too. Whereas, I mean, I have done a lot of studying, as you know, and textbook studying, and it's helpful, but it's different when you've actually gone through it, because not everything fits everyone, you know, and everyone has their own way of coping mechanisms or dealing with stuff. You know, it's not like you read from a book, oh, this is where you do that and the other, but it isn't, because it doesn't do nothing for you. You know, it won't resonate with everyone.
No. And some, as you say, our stories will resonate with some people. Other people's stories will resonate with other people. But the more of us that tell our stories, then the more places there are to go and see where we can relate and learn and have like an ally on our journey.
That's right.
Now,
we need to
go on. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. We need to, because we know, you know, we need to recognize and be mindful of other people, you know, how they're feeling. Your bad might be more, you might think your bad is more than their bad, but their bad is their bad, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I think as well, it used to be that only celebrities and very professional people used to write books. But the internet has enabled us all to become authors and makers of videos and films. And I think it's very important that the more ordinary among us who tell our stories, then people can relate and realize they haven't got to be somebody famous or have gone through something worthy of a Hollywood movie in as far as trauma or whatever is concerned, in order to be justifying the fact that their journey is valid and their issues are valid. And the fact that more of us are telling our stories means more and more people are going, oh, wow, that's me. I can relate to that. I couldn't relate to the professional or the Hollywood star, but I can relate to her or him. And it makes us realize there is a tribe of us walking along, finding a way through our journey.
Yeah, it goes to show it's not just people, you know, whereas I see myself as just an ordinary person. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not famous at all, but, you know, I mean, it affects everyone from every area in life. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're rich, you're poor. It doesn't matter. Depression, anxiety, and other mental health challenges people are going to have. And it's only been recognized, I think, because a lot of celebrities are coming out with it.
Yes, there is definitely a place for people who are well known, admired, respected, coming out and going, you know what, I'm just the same as you. I've had my struggles. I'm not perfect. I may look fabulous through the lens, darling. But when I go home at the end of the day and the filming is over or the concert is over, I am just as an ordinary person with fears and insecurities as you. And it normalizes it, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
It makes you feel like it won't be no longer a taboo, because whereas back in the days they probably used to say, oh no, you must not tell anyone this because this would embarrass me, or whereas for people like us to be brave enough to speak out, and have that passion to help other people, that's what we need.
We just don't get paid the millions for writing a book, do we?
That's right. We don't. No, we don't get a penny. We just give our services free, don't we?
We do. But the reward is equally a high currency, isn't it? Seeing a difference being made in someone's life.
Yeah, it is. It is more than money or anything. The reward you get from that, Now,
you and Adam had a friend in common who also made a huge difference in people's lives on a one-to-one basis, as well as in a wider group basis. And when we were speaking earlier, Natalie, you wanted to say about how his recent death has brought issues to light in your own life. And I know Adam would probably share this sentiment that you would like to raise today, as very much about living life, but also about looking at our mental well-being and our balanced lifestyle.
Oh yes, we did indeed lose a mentor, life coach. It always seems to me. I mean, it's cliche that it's someone that is good that we lose. Someone that is very good and so admired. He changed a lot of people's lives. Oh, his name was Philip Chan.
Philip Chan.
Yeah. And he touched the lives of many people, because I've seen so much on my Facebook page from all the people from my conferences who were, really down in the dumps. Adam has messaged me, and he was in tears himself, and and I just feel that it's just sudden. I was at the gym and suddenly I heard, and then my body felt like it just shut down, like the cold feeling went over me, and it was so like soul destroying, and it made me realize, because it brings me back again to people, my dad, and good people that have suffered and died. And it just goes to show how, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, because tomorrow's not promised. So we need to really be mindful and just live every day, to the fullest. I'm sure we can't have Christmas every day or anything like that, but we can actually make, show our gratitude helps us to live happily, because we're grateful for what we have, because we're in a position where we're comfortable. All right, we have our mental health problems, we have mental health difficulties. However, we must try to live our lives good people, have a purpose, so when we leave this mortal coil, someone have something nice to remember us by. I mean, gosh, if Philip could see us, he would see how much people are celebrating his life. Yes.
And that's something money doesn't buy. It's something that achievement or acclaim or status doesn't buy. It's something that is developed in the nitty-gritty, everyday, person-to-person interaction, isn't it? And there's a lot of people out there today who are aspiring for fame so that they have some kind of legacy. But, a gravestone and what's written on a gravestone, if it says Nobel Prize, very nice. If it says film star, very nice. But if there's nobody around that gravestone remembering the impact you made on their lives and the difference you made to their lives, then all of that really is quite meaningless. So what particularly about his sudden death, actually, I understand, what particularly impacted you? Was it about the fact that we have very little control on a day-to-day basis, and that true freedom comes from realizing there are no certainties and to celebrate each moment?
Absolutely. I totally agree with you, because when we're young, we feel we've got a whole life ahead of us. We can take risks. Nothing's going to happen to us. But as you get older, and when you start losing people that you love so much, you realize it could be anybody. It could be anybody. It could be a baby. It could be anybody. You could see someone today and they look in good health, and then tomorrow someone says they've gone, and you think, what are you talking about? That's how it is. That's the reality of today. We don't know. Some people might have underlying problems they don't know about. People say, oh, he's in good health, he goes to the gym, he's fit, he's this and the other, and next thing you know, he's had a heart attack. That kind of thing. And that's why I've had people die in my life, but nothing as close as my father. And I think my father's death really shook me to the quill. It's like I've still got a part of him. I've got a part of him with me, but I've got a part of me with him that I can never be replaced. You understand that?
Yes.
And it's by his memory have I been inspired to do my work with the scripture of balance, because my dad was like a godly man, and he was just so nice, and it's just an amazing man. I just don't understand, I don't understand the way of the universe, or why people are picked and chosen to have cancer or have this or have that. I just don't. I know it sounds silly, but I don't understand. I just don't understand it for the life of me, and I miss him. I miss him more than anything, and I would have given anything to have him back. Even if I had to give my life, I would have. But I have to be mindful though of how I think, because if I let myself go down this path of thought, then I might end up in some deep depression where I can't come back out.
Exactly. Would you say that quite a huge factor in people's mental health, whether it's poor mental health or good mental health, is the whole idea of control, letting go of control, being comfortable with uncertainty? Do you think people quite often are trapped in fears over which they have no control, and that impacts their mental health?
Oh, it does, because we think that, we think as human beings we're free. We feel that we're in control, but we're not. In a sense, I know some people, this is my opinion, I'm not putting it on anyone, but I feel that we are being controlled, because everything we do is controlled by something, isn't it? And we're controlled from the day we're born, because we've been conditioned to believe what our peers teach us, and it's not always right, And as we get older, if we wake up, luckily we get to think for ourselves. This is why I've got this scripture of balance, you see. It helps me think for myself, and I like to think outside the box. As I like to say, this is wrong, that is right, this is right. This is what people have said, have been conditioned to believe, just like you can't do this, you can't do that. But who said that, okay, we know what's good from bad, but we're free. We should be free, we should feel free within ourselves, although we can't control what's going on outside us. Do you agree?
Exactly. I totally agree. Adam, would you say you agree?
Absolutely. I
was raised in a very strict fundamentalist, evangelical, charismatic, Pentecostal, legalistic, you name it, religious dogma. In a sense, it was a kind of a cult. And I was raised very much not to trust my own thinking. You had to make sure that every decision you made was in line with the Bible, or in my case as well, later on, in line with my abusive husband's thinking. And I became very brainwashed into believing that only if my thoughts and behaviors pleased someone else or appeased someone else, was it okay to do it? And it was in my 40s, I suppose, when I began to question, or began to find the freedom to question. It was very scary. I think it's very scary to question our conditioned thinking, to say, am I thinking the things I really believe? And are they true? Or am I actually only thinking what I've been taught to believe? And do I really believe it? And I think as we dare to question, dare to have the courage to question, actually, only then do we begin to see that everything we actually want is on the other side of fear. Because so much of our conditioning as a society, or in a family, or in a church, or a business world, whatever, is about being controlled by a certain kind of fear. Fear of unemployment, fear of hell, fear of abandonment, whatever it might be. And to dare to question that is the beginning of freedom, but also it's quite a scary thing to do. It's not for sissies, is it?
No, it makes things more complicated, because I'm one who questions my psychiatrist all the time. Why?
Good.
And Every doctor, I'll question them, because I'm not going to be put on drugs just like that.
No.
I'm not going to have it, because it's my body. It's still my body. You might think you might have in control of me because you're my doctor, but it's my body, and what I put in it, you know what I mean, is you know, I saw something come from the screen. Sorry. What is in it is important. What I put in it is important. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah.
Would you say you came to a point in your own life where you began to go, whew, there are certain fears that stop me from being who I want to be?
Yes, that is it,
How did
really.
you
You know,
overcome?
you have to, because I mean, having a mental health condition that people are embarrassed about or want to skirt their way around, don't want to talk about, you know, they say, oh yeah, and they're gone. You know, it's kind of like, you know, before it felt to me like it was like maybe not, you know, it's not to be spoken about, you know, sweeping the carpet. But now I think, no, I've got a big mouth. I've got a big mouth now, and I'll keep that mouth open. And yeah, I'm not looking for popularity or anything like that. I'm just telling you my story, and I'm just saying to you that you can get, you know, there are people who will stand by you, and there are people that will help you. I mean, look at you guys. You're the mental health warriors.
Ooh.
Exactly. So that's why I've put Caroline's comment up there. So what's your view on that?
One of the core principles of life is movement. So therefore, trying to control life is going to cause us suffering. Training adaptability is key. That's a very academic sounding sentence. I'm not quite sure how to unwrap that. But I think what I'm saying is that we can, well, there's plenty of wiggle room. And we are not necessarily needing to be trapped within conditioned thinking. We can dare to think outside of the box. I mean, I can remember sitting on the patio one afternoon a few years ago in the sun. Do you remember sun? It was lovely, wasn't it? And and thinking to myself, everything I want is on the other side of fear. But how do I get to the other side of fear? And I had done a lot of reading, research, therapy, and quite often it feels like we've had a sudden thought, but I think sometimes our thoughts emerge out of a lot of subconscious stuff we've been thinking and reading. And it suddenly dawned on me, that's what I mean, I don't think it suddenly did, but my brain decided to throw up the thought I'd been having for a while into my frontal lobe. And I thought, wow, in order to be free, you have to become comfortable with uncertainty, because all of my life had been about certainty. God is this, God requires this, the afterlife is this is the way to be good, this, you know, all of that. And daring to let go of control. Like, for instance, my son travels a lot with work. He flies a lot. And I remember one day some years back, you know, when I was a believer, I'd be like, oh, dear God in heaven, please guide the pilot's hand so that my son lands safely, you know. And then when I let go of the controlling faith, it would just be a kind of, oh my God, my son's in the air. I hope he lands. Oh, what if he doesn't land? Oh my God, what if? And before I knew it, I was living in what if. I was already living in my mind in a world in which my son had died. And it suddenly dawned on me, oh, for God's sake, Karen, there is no certainty about whether your son's going to land safely or not. But at the moment, he's very much alive, probably having a whiskey sour on a flight with a gorgeous flight attendant walking by. So live now. Live now. The only certainty is now. And that was the beginning of a real snap into freedom for me. Do you find that as well?
I do, because one of my blogs that I'd written was about reconditioning our minds.
Yes.
You know, relearning, you know, everything we've learned, to unlearn it and to go the way we want to go. Because like you said, a lot of what we learn, we live, gives us fear. You can't do this otherwise, you know what I mean? But I mean, where that fear is, I don't, you know, why should you let the fear control you? You know, if you live in your own way, like you got your own standards. I've got my own standards. I set my own standards, and I live the way I want to live, you know, and I'm not living to impress anyone. I'm not living to, you know, I'm not living for anyone. I'm living for myself. but I'm living a purpose to help others. That's how I live. I'm not going to live in fear anymore.
No.
I although I'm saying that to you now, but I know that I could, in an hour's time, I could be anxious about something that isn't happening. You know.
Oh God, yes.
That's the thing.
And none of us who bear the title warrior in this group are on here because, you know, we've made it. We have all the answers. No, we're all just, if you like, sword in hand, chopping through the jungle, you know, of what life is, and trying to find a clear patch now and again to sit down and have a cold drink. We're all journeying together. No one's made it. And I think that's the beauty of it. Excuse me, I'm having a dementia moment.
But do you remember I mentioned to you last time about Pilgrim's Progress?
Ah, yes.
That's how it feels like, you know, amazing book. Yeah, an amazing book. John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress. Brilliant.
And I think
that's what life is like.
Yes. And what that book shows, and what we learn as we get older, is that moods pass, phases pass, and that we don't have to feel trapped in this particular mood or that particular bit of anxiety, or even fear what mood might come, because we have what it takes to get through, as he did in Pilgrim's Progress, especially the slough of despond, which was the sort of sucking sand of despair. And he even got through that. But he had a traveling companion, didn't he? Did he?
Yeah, he did. I think, hold on.
No, at times.
Yes, for a little time he did, I think. He had a traveling, if I remember. I mean, my mum read it to us when we were kids and that. So, but I do remember. I've got the book somewhere, but I just haven't looked at it again. But yeah, he had someone for a while to take him somewhere, I suppose. But there's, you know, just like we have temptations everywhere. And in a way, it reminds me of also my intrusive thoughts, because you could be all happy, smiling and that. And next thing you know, something goes into your head and you go with it. But if you dwell on it, it's going to go into something bigger and bigger. Yeah. Like making, you know, elephants out of ants. Yeah. So it's kind of like, my aunt here says Faithful was his companion. There she goes.
There you go.
This is my inspiring aunt, the one that inspires me.
Inspiring aunt. Does our inspiring aunt have a name?
Miriam.
Miriam. That's a wonderful biblical name too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was Moses' wise sister, I think, wasn't it? Anyway, you see, I did go to Sunday school a lot. But again, saying, you know, that the pilgrim in Pilgrim's Progress had a companion, I think what is so necessary is to know that you are allied with somebody. We may not have a whole tribe of people that support us, but as long as we have one person that we can be totally authentic with, that we can be real, you know, because again, very much a part of the fearfulness of society is that we end up wearing masks if we're not careful, and trying to project an image of being this or that. And we need at least one person in our life that we can take that mask off with, don't we?
Yeah.
Who we know travels with us as an ally. And also to be a traveling companion for somebody else as well.
Yeah. Something that won't judge or criticize us. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have that support, would you say?
I had that support in my father, you see. So now you can see why the chains are still on me. No, actually, I had that with my father. He was unconditionally. And now I've got my Aunt Miriam, because she's really cool. She, you know, she's she's a Christian, and she's down to earth, and she's very wise, and she you know, tells me if I'm wrong, which I like, you know, in a nice way. She's got tact, and I know she loves me.
Yes. Yeah. Hello, Miriam. Yes, you're quite right. Quite right. There needs to be far more acceptance, even of what we don't understand in others. You know, empathy, I think, isn't necessarily I've been there too. I mean, that's great if we can get it, but it's like, I don't quite understand what you're going through, but I choose to be here for you as you go through. You know,
that's right. Empathy is about them. Sympathy is about you.
That's a good way of putting it. I hadn't thought of that. Yes, I've not heard that before. Yes, I see you have a good brain. You've been to NASA. It's on your.
Yeah, I love NASA. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, in your own life, do you have any particular practices that keep you balanced?
I do. I meditate, and I've done mindfulness. I do mindfulness. I normally was in it at East London Foundation Trust, but because of the COVID, they stopped doing it. But they offer that kind of thing online through the hospice, St. Joseph Hospice. You know, as a guy that I've worked with for 10 years, he's leaving, unfortunately. But he does mindfulness sessions. I can't always stay in the moment with mindfulness. My mind can travel and wander somewhere else. It's very difficult for me to concentrate on anything. But I have techniques in the sense that I become mindful myself of what I'm thinking and question, why am I thinking this? Is this worth thinking about? And if it gets too bad, I'll probably message my aunt in Grenada and say to her, oh, this is what I'm thinking. But she's kind of like, I'm not going to hear anything negative today. This is, it's really like, yeah, she's really, really great. You'd love her. Yeah. But yeah, you got to find techniques yourself. I mean, you can't always rely on people, obviously. But like I said to you, tomorrow's not promised. You could lose that person. So one has to, we have to try and take control of our own minds. Very hard, very hard, very, very hard. But for me, very hard, and maybe for you too. Sometimes you can do it, manage it. Other times you can't. It all depends where your mindset is at.
Yeah, I mean, it's a daily. It's not a minute by minute battle for me, and I use the word battle lightly. Awareness, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I'm very aware that I can very easily go into what if, and I think the two most negative sentences in our lives can be what if, and if only. What if keeps us living in the future and worrying, and if only keeps us living in the past and regretting. And we therefore miss being present in the moment we're in because we're too busy regretting or fearing. And what I have found to be so freeing is if I find myself what ifing, I'll then go, no. You can't do anything about what if. Live in what is.
Yeah.
And see, I used to give self-esteem training when I worked in mental health in a London charity. And I came across the definition for what self-esteem is. And it was coined quite a few years ago, but because its content is so comprehensive, they've not found a better one. And we tend to think of self-esteem just as maybe having a low confidence or needing to have an increased sense of self-worth. But a huge part of self-esteem, it turns out, that this particular chap coined the phrase, was also trusting that you have the ability to cope with whatever life might throw at you. And not necessarily alone, but knowing you've got the support that you can call on. And a turning point for me in feeling much more at ease with my life and confident in my living and being less fearful was going, I can cope with what is right now, which means I haven't got to fear what if in the future, because that's just another what is, but further on. And if I keep coping in the what is, then there isn't a tomorrow or a next week or a next month. There's only the minute I'm in. I remember standing outside a friend's house one morning before work. I was staying overnight and having my morning coffee and a fag, when I smoked. In Whitechapel. So there I was in East London, love. And I found myself just musing, not morbidly, but I was thinking, how many more years I have left on this planet? I found that smoking caused me to muse rather a lot. And then it dawned on me, actually, I haven't got any years left. I only have now. Oh, that's become now. Oh, that's become now. Oh, now, I only have a series of nows. And if
That's
we can
amazing.
somehow learn how to live in now, then we are truly present.
Yeah.
That is so true. That is, and it's well said as well, isn't it? It said it so well. Yeah, I like that. I'll have to write that one down a bit all on me. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Well, you've
Live it
been
now.
given an invite to a group anyway, Natalie. It's called the Rainbow Warrior Women's Group.
Oh, lovely. Where do I go for that one?
That's on Facebook.
Okay, yeah, I will. Yeah, I'll look at that. Yeah.
Someone I know well. Well, say I know well. I was chatting with her last night, but I'm only just beginning to get to know her. But I feel like I've known her all my life. Called Caroline Bennis. She started and runs this group, and again, all about being positively allied together with other people who are journeying into that place of discovery and fearlessness and joy, as well as reaching out and supporting others. So don't worry about, have I been invited into a cult? No.
Oh no, I wasn't worried. I mean, like I said to you, I'm open-minded, and I do think out of the box. Anything funny comes up, I'll just run.
No, you'll really enjoy it. And I think that's something that the internet facilitates in a wonderful way, which is being able to meet like-minded people, without being afraid they're going to turn up on your doorstep at 11 at night wanting a cup of coffee. But
Karen,
yes,
you probably on our doorstep then, weren't you? Just the kettle on.
I've already booked train fare, love. I'll be up there for you know it.
Damn.
But you know what, you saying that, I've just made me realise something. You mentioned about like-minded people. It is good to find like-minded people on these platforms, because all I see on Facebook these days, and no disrespect, but it's all about self for starters. All about self and what they're doing, and and some of it isn't even real. It's all like false. It's nothing that will uplift me in the morning to see. It's nice to see people's children, their babies. That's nice. But all this drama that is happening with some people, it's all just pointless. It's a waste of my eyesight. If God told me I was going to be blind tomorrow, I'd hope not to see that.
Yeah.
Before I go, my eyesight goes.
Yeah. And it's all, as we've said before, a projection of successful lives. It's all about saying, look, I've got it all together. It's almost like dressing up to go to a party and pretending you always live in a ball gown and stilettos in full makeup.
Fake. Yeah.
Fake lives tend to be this projected image. And therefore, everybody else thinks, well, my life must be crap because look at her life and his life and their life. When in actual fact, when the screen is off, people are all just living the same challenging lives. Some may have more money, but we're all just human beings and human becomings. Right. What is a way that you, Natalie, find the challenge of sharing and speaking with somebody in a hospice? How do you bring hope in a time of what many of us would think is the most hopeless of times? And what have they taught you as well?
Well, as you know, I've had many patients, and they know. Some have passed, some are still around. In hospice, I mean, when I go to the talking therapies in our neuro group, our neuro group is people with motor neuron disease, MS, Parkinson's, Huntington's, all the ones to do with the neuro. I speak to them like they haven't got anything wrong with them. I just talk to them like the next person, because basically, the only difference between me and them is they know that time is coming. Me, I don't know when. Mine could be tomorrow. It could be before them. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I talk to them. We just talk about. They talk about how they're fed up, and the psychological aspects of it. Yeah. And some of the physical ones where they're unable to eat and stuff like that. And I basically say, I just speak to them just like they're speaking to me. I don't look down at them and say, oh well, that's what you expect. I say to them, oh, well, you can always look at this, or you can always taste this. You don't have to swallow it, and kind of thing. I kind of like encourage them. I know that it's very hard to like. You do put a positive there, but it's very hard to like. You're not going to lie to them and say, "Oh, don't worry, you'll get better." You don't say that, do you? You kind of like ask them what they would like to do in the time they've got left, and what their wishes were, what their hopes were for, and if there's anything that they need to tell me, anything on the offload, or you kind of like make them. It's just making them feel comfortable, making them feel like they're people.
Yes.
People don't like talking to people who are ill, let alone dying, because they feel it's almost like it's catching to them. I'm not going there. That one's got cancer. I'm not going there then because it gives bad luck. All this superstition stuff.
Yeah.
But they're just people like us. Where we suffer. We all suffer in our own way. Whether it's mental. I mean, my father, when he had cancer, you know what he said to me?
What?
It's two things he said to me. The one thing he said to me was that about me living life. Live life not to please others. He said, do what you need to do and that you feel what you feel is right. He said, don't expect anyone else's acceptance, because before you know it, you'll be lying on your deathbed and you never get around to doing what you've done. That's what he said. That's one thing he said to me.
Excellent.
And that's what he said to me. And that was really, from coming from someone who knew they didn't have time. You know what I mean? I'm trying to figure out the other one now. Another thing he'd said to me, what did I say I was talking about before? The other thing he had said to me was about, I can't remember what it is now because I forgot. I've gone off. I should have said that one first because I can't remember what we're talking about.
You, yeah. But and all of life, each different phase, and our mortality is simply, as we know, a different phase of living. Each different phase requires adjustment and acceptance, doesn't it? I mean,
that's right.
Here I am at age, in my 60s, having to come.
Yes, sure, look, there's
the plastic surgery is marvelous. Actually, I couldn't afford plastic surgery. I had rubber surgery, so everything now bounces off my face. But you have to come to terms with. You look in the mirror and you go, "Oh, wait a minute! I feel 25, but I see my mother." Or nobody whistle. If I hear a whistle in the street, that's not for me. There's an invisibility that comes with aging. There's watching your body drop like a souffle. And one again has to adjust. One has to find your self-esteem from different things. One has to find purpose and fulfillment from different things. And our mortality, that phase, that final phase, if we're lucky enough not to die sudden deaths, is simply another phase of living, isn't it? And an adjustment to this part of life. Obviously, if it happens at a young age, it's very hard because, we are supposed to have many years ahead of us, though, even that's a 19th, 20th, 21st century construct, because back in the earlier centuries, you were lucky if you reached 21.
It's true.
And were more for 3. So society has kind of pushed death away because we live in a youthful oriented, but also in a you're going to live forever and you're going to keep spending capitalist mindset. Whereas we should be much more looking at, as you do in the palliative care and the hospice work, how do I prepare for that? But also, how do I live now with the celebration of the fact that I'm not there yet?
Exactly. It's like a meeting I had yesterday. They're talking about exercise, even when you're on your last year of cancer or whatever. Exercise is important to keep you up. Some people would say there's no point anyway, I'm going to die. But no, you're still alive. And if you still got it in you, you can still do stuff. It's not over yet until you're dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Until you're dead, until your heart stops beating. But now you're reminding me of what my father had said to me as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's come to me, and it's to do with mental health.
Go on.
My father read a thing on my bipolar disorder, and he said, "Yeah, that's definitely you." He said to me, he read the whole thing, and then he said to me, "Do you know what? I'd rather have what I've got than what you've got."
The
he
cancer.
Said, mine's got to end. Mine's got to end date. Yours will go on for all throughout your whole life. He said to me. That's what he said to me. He said nothing. He wants nothing up here to be wrong. He'd rather have what he's got. And you know what? I thought about that, and I thought I can understand that. I didn't see it in a bad way. I saw it in like, I know what you're saying. Because it's a struggle. It's a struggle when you're suffering and you've got a disease, but you know you're going to die from it. Within a year or whatever. But when you've got something that is ongoing, and it's in your head, you know, your mind, because your mind is like your mainframe, and anything that goes through your mind affects your body, you see.
Yes.
Well, you know, but I'm not giving you a lesson here. I'm just saying
I'm agreeing because, of course.
So it's physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, all of that, the impact. You know, because your mind is where it all begins, every single thing to do with moving your hands and your feet, and you know. But imagine for us, it's also where our intrusive thoughts come from.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where we beat ourselves up all the time and say we're not good enough. That's where it all is, and you know, and it's like we've got something missing. You know, some kind of chemical missing or something missing in our heads. That is, you know, why we have to keep on. It's like a whole. To me, it's like, you know, at night time I get traffic in my head. If I, you know, traffic. People say a washing machine, but it isn't. For me, it's traffic, like the M25. One thought comes out. Okay, let's not think about that. It's gone. Another one. It's like, you know, going like a conveyor belt. Next.
Yeah.
You know, it's awful.
And somebody with cancer can say, "Oh, I'd like to move to the country to get away from the traffic and have peace around me." And even if their body is sick, they can find peace of mind in a way that becomes, you know, a nice, natural way of living and away from the traffic. But those of us who are living with, as you say, bipolar or BPD or any trauma, we take ourselves with us wherever we go. The traffic comes with us.
That's right. And the thing is, we're not always able to go because we find it hard to plan things ahead, don't we? Because I know I was meant to go to a conference tonight, you know, one of ones that probably Philip Chan was going to in Watford. But I said, I'm not going. I made my mind up about a good few days ago. I made my mind up because I know that I wouldn't be ready. You know, I know I can't think about getting on the train to go to Watford. That's what, you know, it's just like that. It's just, you know, I can't say, right, let me go out to the country because I don't know that I will be able to carry myself there because my mind might tell me, no, I don't want to see anybody outside.
Yeah. I used to wish in my early years of trauma recovery, well, I wasn't in recovery then, sort of trauma mayhem, that I used to wish it was like cancer, that I could take myself to a surgeon. I would be put under anesthetic and they would find the tumor, as it were, of my mental health issue or mental injury and be able to take it out and then have chemo and radiation. But no, you know, when we have mental health issues, we are the ones that are required to heal ourselves. And okay, yes, we can get therapy and yes, we can take medication. But at the end of the day, it's about us doing the work. And we feel the least equipped person to do it, you know. It's almost like saying in the middle of a war in a battlefield, right, you're in charge of the peace treaty. What? What? You know, I can't do that. I'm too busy fighting. And it doesn't seem...
That's funny.
Sorry, go on.
That's funny. It's funny you saying that because I've always described my mental health as cancer of the mind.
I would agree.
Slowly eating away at me.
I understand that completely. And I don't know with bipolar whether, I suppose everybody's mental chemistry is a little bit different, and certain medication will alleviate symptoms slightly more or less with different people. But do you find that you are able to manage those thoughts with more therapy or different meds, or is it something you think that you'll be battling with forever? I don't know too much about bipolar.
Well, I think it's something because it's the moods, high, low, and
Right.
they get manic. And I unfortunately don't want to talk about my mania at all. But you know, I get manic, and if I'm low, I can have mania for like weeks, and then when you go low, you just drop. There's no like level; it just drop down.
Right.
And it's just frightening. It's know that you can go like that. But I mean, it's something that, you know, medication not alone. You got to be able to. Just like medication, you have to work with it as well, you know?
Yeah.
You can work, medication can work against you if you're not working with it. You know,
right.
People have antidepressants, and if you're not working with the antidepressants, they're going to keep upping the dosage, aren't they? You know, so I am managing because I had psychodynamic therapy during my father's illness, and that really was the best therapy I've ever had. I mean, mindfulness wasn't too bad. One-to-one counselling wasn't too bad, but I still ended up in hospital. I've had all kinds of therapy, mood management and stuff like that, but psychodynamic therapy was for 2 years and was absolutely not running away from your problems. You had to face it. And she wouldn't let us get away with it, you had to face it there and then. If she said something, you go, oh, let's think about that another time. No, we're talking about it now. It was really, so that really encouraged me, really. It really encouraged me. And it helped me through, my grieving process when my dad fell ill, because when I was grieving when he fell ill in 2014, right the way to 2017. And even now, maybe not as bad now as it's 4.5 years now. But bipolar is a disability, definitely. And it's also, it's like, it's just something I just wish I never had. I really didn't want to be, in that.
Well, this is it. Mental health issues are definitely not for sissies. And people who don't experience them themselves and say to us that we look fine have no idea of the invisible battlegrounds that we are fighting on every day. We are wearied at the end of the day by the battle. And, I wish, part of me will always wish I never had the traumas in my life that I've had to overcome. But at the same time, and I don't say this lightly, I still grieve a little for the life I could have had, perhaps, if I hadn't been afflicted with these traumas. And for you too, with your bipolar, and Adam with his issues. But at the same time, I think, okay, it's been bloody tough and still is at times. Yeah. But I like who I am as a result of being forged in this crucible. Would I have had the empathy? Would I have had the connectedness with others? Would I have had the insight and the purpose that I have now and the celebration of the good days if I hadn't known the challenges? And that's not to say, hey, everybody should jump on board mental illness, because, boy, it makes it great to live the good days. No, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But it's important, isn't it, to celebrate the actual little victories and the good things that have come out of it.
Yeah, it's like going up a ladder, I'm never going to reach the top because I have to keep going 2 steps down sometimes because that's how I feel, It's hard. It's very hard, but I keep a smile on my face so people don't think, people, it's like you said, a mask, a facade. I'll keep my face,
Yeah. Well, Adam, I think we're coming to the end of our time, are we?
We are, yes.
Okay. Natalie, it has been wonderful to hear you talk and have you on here and have a conversation with you. And
live,
finally, actually recorded. And one thing I've really enjoyed about talking to you last time that no one else saw and talking to you now is that despite, as you say, the challenges and the difficulties, and we both know that at times it's taken us to the brink of suicide. But what I see from you and hear from you is an exuberance and a love for the life that you're living, even with the difficulties, and a sense of purpose and joy in your ability to be there for others. And that is so, it's wonderful to witness.
It is.
That's what I live for. Yeah.
So thank you. And thank you to Miriam.
Yes.
And thank you to Adam. And hopefully we'll have a chat another time down the road a bit. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful hour. Adam, would you like to sign us off?
Yes, I will end this now, and please join us tomorrow when Dorota will be back, and she'll be interviewing, I don't know who, 9 a.m. UK time. I've got it in the diary. Diary's literally right here, but I haven't opened it. 9 a.m. tomorrow UK time for Art, Mind, Medicine. So there you go.
And have a good day, Natalie, and you.
Not Dorota.
No,
Natalie.
Go well.
Yeah, and you too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.